Show your essential oil, girl. How you doing? So just FYI, I used sandalwood tonight. It was sitting here on my desk, and I don't like the smell of it tonight. What is with that? You know, at one time they told me whenever I first started, here's that other one I like. I don't know what it smells so good. This is somebody told me whenever I started doing oils that the oils that you I think it was if you like the smell of it, and that's the oil that you need, your body needs. But if you don't like the smell of it, that's not the oil your body needs. And then I think I heard down the road, well, if you don't like the smell of it, that's because your body needs it. So I don't think that's a real thing. So just some days I love the smells of certain oils, and some days I don't. Now I don't know. So if I got any of my doTERRA people on here, actually, do y'all know what the deal is with that? And do you experience that? Because I usually really like the sandalwood. And tonight I was like, no, that's not pleasant tonight. Just curious. Y'all know the oils actually have all kinds of chemical plant makeups like our bodies, and therefore they all work synergistically together. So whenever you even breathe in a true essential oils, it actually speaks to your body cells and your body gets excited about it. It's really weird. I was watching flipping through Facebook yesterday, and somehow I got on, surprisingly, somehow I get on this this essential oil list that comes through, and they've got all these oils that, you can buy a frankincense for $5.99. I'm like, y'all, no, you cannot buy a true frankincense for $5.99. You just can't. You can't. They figured out how to make a smell that smells like a frankincense, but it is not a true essential oil. Don't use it. God, it's like a Glade product. Put Glade on you if you want to see, The oils cost money for a reason. They have to be tested. They have to be pure. They have to be, If you see these bargain oils, don't do it, guys. That's unless you just want to use it to, I don't know, put in a doghouse for bugs or something. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know why I got off on that tangent. I try not to do that, and I apologize. So, moving on. I don't know why I go on that. Anyway, moving on. So, we went to church tonight. We did our Christmas Eve candlelight service tonight, and it was at 5. And whenever we came out, it was sunsetting, which was beautiful, and it was snowing. It was snowing in our church. So I took some video of it. I'm going to do a short or a reel or whatever later, but I was like, that is so cute. They had a big, I don't know, we had this, John and I have been having a lot of discussion today. It's like we're testing each other to see who's the wrongest or the rightest. And of course, I'm 90% the wrongest. And he likes that when I'm wrong, and I have to tell him he's right, but that's okay. Anywho, what I was saying is they had a foaming machine, some kind of foaming machine up on top of the church, and it was spitting out bubble type. It was not bubbles, it was foamy stuff, so it was like clunky. Let's see if I can show it to you. Hold on. I'll see if I can show it to you, because it was really cute. Okay. I'm getting there. It was just very effective. And I was like, that's adorable for y'all to do that. Let's see. Hold on. Hate it when you can't see. Okay. That's the church parking lot. Yeah, the video must have stopped. Okay, try that again. Okay, one more time and I'll stop. Okay. See the foam? It looked like it was snowing. I was like, that just made my day. That was just adorable. Not to mention the beautiful sunset in the background. Anywho, so that was good. That's what we got done today. We went to the Christmas Eve service. They did a lot of singing. Anyhow, I have had the wind is howling. Now, you people that are in the north right now, dear goodness gracious, people, are you not frozen to death? I cannot even imagine. It is cold here. It started probably while we were in church, because whenever we went in, it wasn't too bad, but whenever we came out, it was really the wind. We're getting the wind. And we've got a little, our house will sound like a wind tunnel. We've got a door situation, so I have to shove a sophisticated fix, shove a towel up in that corner so we don't think like that. But the wind is just howling out there. I mean, it's loud, but it's cold. Different than the hurricane. The hurricane is loud. I don't even know if the hurricane was that loud. I mean, you can really hear this wind, so I'll be curious to see what the deal is. But the main thing is it's cold. And all you people, I'm sorry you were having to deal with this during Christmas. I just can't even imagine. That's why I live in Florida. There's a reason I live in Florida. It's because we don't do cold, and we certainly don't do freezing cold. Anyway, so you may hear the wind in the background. Another thing's going on today. Freakishly, I keep talking to my children this evening. I think Christmas is all about being around family, right? And since the kids got married and moved out, now they got their own families and stuff. But I notice every Christmas it's almost like we just need to talk to each other. And so first off, Donovan called with the babies in the tub. That's what he calls. And we connected then and talked. And the kids were so tired. They'd been out looking at Christmas lights, so they were not very good. They were not entertained by Kiss Kiss and Babu tonight. They were just tired. And then Brandy called because she pulled out her flute. She's got a new house in Macon in the, it's one of the houses that were built in the 80s that has the cathedral ceilings in them, the really high cathedral ceilings. And she pulled out her flute and started playing, and she was so excited. She said, I bought a church. Because the acoustics are wonderful. So she played and played and played, and entertained her family frolicking around behind her. And then they got tired of it and went and were doing their own projects. So she called to play for us, and it was beautiful. That child is so amazing on the flute. And she doesn't really play it much anymore. But her entire childhood was spent, including her college years, majoring and getting a master's degree in flute. So, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful when she plays. And I said, you're making your daddy cry back there. You're sitting in a chair. She's making your daddy cry because it's so pretty. She said, maybe I should record some. I said, you 100% should record some stuff and post it, because people love that when you play, because she's so good. Anyway, so then Walt and Lucy came in while we were on the phone, because after that we were chatting, and Walt and Lucy, Walt's very creative. So Walt and Lucy were doing an outside project. Remember, they're in Georgia and Macon. It's like 18 degrees. And he has a bunch of Home Depot buckets, the big orange ones. And Brandy said they were out in the yard filling up Home Depot buckets and putting stuff in them. I love that. That, it's just for something fun to do. So they're gonna freeze the water in the bucket, and they're gonna have them some ice art, right? Isn't that fun? Who thinks of stuff like that? I love that. Anyway, but then they came in, and then Walt came in to decide to play the piano while we're on the phone, and of course it's in the cathedral, so Brandy ended up going and sitting in her closet to chat. So we finished and while I was on the phone with Brandy, Donovan called again, and he was on the way to Target for a stocking stuffer run, and so I had Brandy on Brandy and I were doing a screen time talking, and Donovan called on the phone, right? And I told Donovan, I said, I'll have to call you, because Brandy and Donovan couldn't hear each other because of the situation. And so I told Donovan, I said, okay, I'll have to call you back. I'll call you back. And I went clicked off the computer, so I hung up on the wrong kid. It's like boop, boop, boop. So, okay. I gotta let me call Brandy back. Okay, bye. Call Brandy back. So, anywho, and then after Brandy got off the phone, Donovan called. So we chatted for a while because he was, like I said, he was out shopping. So, and now that he's got that little family, we don't hardly ever get a chance to just talk. So, and he's tired. He's got 2 toddlers. He's 42. He's got 2 toddlers. He's exhausted. But good. So it just felt like a very, very Christmassy night for me, because I got to talk to both of the kids. I got to talk to them. Probably I've been on the phone probably with both or one of them since 6:30. So several hours. So a little family time. I hope y'all are having some good family time. Do you live close to your kids, and are you going to see them? I was listening on the radio on the way home from church, and somebody said that apparently the airline tickets are less expensive than they were, and apparently the trend is that families, now that the COVID is over with, the families are not visiting families as much on the holidays as they did before. And I was like, well, that's not the people on the TV are talking about, oh, how awful it is at the airport because all the people are trying to go home, blah, blah, blah. But apparently it's not necessarily, they're not traveling necessarily to go visit their family. So is that the case? Just curious if y'all got family coming in trying to fly in. Or is that, they think it's a thing of the past. They think, and I kind of agree with them. It's just hard to get everybody to want to come home, and unfortunately, even the funerals. Remember the funerals whenever somebody like the grandma died or something. Everybody, the cousins, everybody would all get together, and in fellowship, and they would. And if you're Southern, we do a meal. You either do a meal or before or after the service, so you can. Your family's there. It's like a family reunion, but they only happen at a funeral, right? At least Southern. I'm speaking from a Georgia girl perspective. But once COVID hit, all that changed, right? Then they were postponing services, or they would skip a service and then go back a few years later and do a memorial type thing, but people aren't going to make a special trip out a lot for that. So I think even the funerals are going to be different from now on. I think that kind of somehow took out the necessity that people used to feel about getting together with their family when somebody died. And it was always like 3 days later. There was never any of this, we're gonna do it in 2 weeks and then come. It was like, they're being buried in 3 days, so y'all need to come home. We're gonna do the service, and people found a way to come home. So I'm not going anywhere with that. I just thinking things are different now. Things are different. So, do you think the travel thing is true? Do you think that the going to see your family at Christmas is no longer vogue? Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know. But luckily for me, I have FaceTime. I can talk to my kids, which we didn't used to have, right? And the telephone, like I said, and I talked to Donovan and Brandy on screen today, so I got to see their pretty face, and they got to see my pretty face. So it's different. Things are different. Things are different. Some things are for the better. Some things are not. It's all good. We're evolving. We're evolving. We're evolving. I also saw, speaking of evolving, I was flipping through we got a TV channel now that's called like Stories on History or something. And the actual, they were talking about cavemen and you know how we've evolved from the time of Christ but it started with cavemen, and then they said that there was whatever those people were called, and then there was an ice age, and only like 2,000 people survived on the entire earth, and how all of us are descendants of this particular 2,000 people that survived that ice age, and how our brains are evolving. Our brains are still evolving. The more we're having to do and the more we're changing around. So, for example, now the fight or flight instinct is still there, but our bodies don't know how to deal with it anymore. Because fight or flight, we used to literally have to run because the bear was chasing us, right? I mean, it was the thing. To survive, we had to, you know. And now the fight or flight instinct is, we're sitting at our desk, right? And something goes on and it sparks that same fight or flight response, but our body's not getting up and running, which is causing all these chemical things to go on in your body, because it's like, we should be running, and your body, you're sitting there in your chair, and so your blood sugar's doing all kinds of stuff, saying, I don't know what to do with all this stuff, so this is causing a problem. So our bodies are trying to adjust to how we're living now. The children that are being born now, their brains are different than even my parents' brains, because things are different. And if I could see that makes total sense, but I never really thought about it. But they're still evolving. And I've heard, I'm so good at this reference stuff, but all I'm going to say is I heard somebody talk one time, and I don't even know what it was from, and I just heard, you know, I pulled bits and pieces. But it talked about your children, right? Because I know with like a lot of the political stuff, especially, you know, the last few years, blah, 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 and things are so drastically different now that everything is bared to the public, and we actually see what things are going on, and the different generations, you know, the baby boomers see it one way, and the next generation is not quite as shocked as the baby boomers, and then the next generation that's just normal, and the new generation is trying to change it for something else because they never saw the whole picture. But you'll hear people talk about, well, what about your children? This, you know, your children are going to have to deal with blah 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 blah. And whenever they're talking about the brain situation, I think that's something else to consider, is the children are being placed on our planet at a time in history that they will be able to handle whatever comes their way, right? No matter what the previous generation did to them, right? We will find a way. We will find a way to move forward, and they will find a way. So I'm not sure we need to be too, I mean, it sounds terrible, and I don't mean we don't want to not think about our kids, but on the other hand, they're here. That's going to be their time, their brain power, their experiences as growing up, because their experience growing up is totally different than our experience growing up. It's apples and oranges. So we can't expect them to run their lives on the apples that we ran our lives on. Does that make sense? See how deep I'm being tonight? Just was, but it's true. Have you thought about it? Don't worry about your kids. They're going to be fine. Just don't let them get into drugs and get, stupid. You still got to try to educate them. Now, whatever that looks like for you. You still got to educate your children. They got to be educated. And you got to pay attention to the things that they're learning. But, it's not the same. It won't be the same. And it won't be the same for their kids. So us baby boomers, we're actually not really baby boomers. We're at the end of that baby boomer thing. I think he's the boyfriend who is already in bed. Is more baby boomer than I, because I'm not too set in my ways type thing. So things don't bother me like they bother him. I think for him, things should still look a certain way. Things should still, people should still act a certain way, and everything should be that. And it ain't that way now. So it's very hard. It's very hard for old people to accept change and be okay with it. So, and yes, I'm one of those old people, but I'm okay. Anyway, enough of that rambling, guys. Oh, sorry. I just had a really good day. I hope y'all had a really good day too. And I hope you have a lovely Christmas Eve. There is a 99.8% chance I will be doing a live video tomorrow too. So please feel free to share any comments that are nice. Remember, I don't need negative feedback. I do not want your negative feedback. I do enough of that in my own head. Don't need yours. If you're thinking something negative, just unfriend me. That's fine. I don't mind. I know I'm annoying. All right, guys. I love you. I hope you have a lovely evening, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Boop. And